Hi, I'm Chris Roselli.
And I'm Alana Baxter. Welcome to Western Window, the show made for you by students at Western Washington University.
Fresh off The Voice, Western alumnus Austin Jenckes is on campus, and we get a chance to chat with him in the studio.
We'll travel to the center of the universe, celebrate International Women's Day, we'll go to the opera, and more. So stay with us as we explore our world through Western Window.
So you've probably heard of the TV show The Voice. It's a TV show singing competition, one of the largest in the United States, where real-life music rock stars serve as coaches for the contestants. One of our contestants, a top 10 finalist, is Austin Jenckes, who also happens to be a Western Washington University alumnus. I'm thrilled to be able to interview you here today. It's really great to have you back to Western.
Thank you, man. Good to be here.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, I graduated from Western in 2010, and I moved back down to Seattle and, hung around for a bit, played some music, and I decided to move to Nashville in the beginning of 2011, actually. And, beginning of 2012. Went down there and saved up enough money to hang out for about 6 months just to see how it was going to go. My girlfriend moved down with me and got a job.
Who is now your fiance?
Now my fiance, yeah.
Right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I got a job working in a warehouse after that saved up money was gone, and drove a forklift and met so many people in Nashville, musicians, just kind of networked and started co-writing with people. And my focus for moving there, I was focused on writing songs for other people, and I wanted to be able to have a career as a writer. And as I met people and hung around, I met a friend that knew somebody that knew somebody at The Voice, and I got an industry audition, which was really cool. I didn't have to go wait in line for a day, I got to go hang out and just do my thing. And it was about a 6-month process before I got to do the blind audition. And it's crazy looking back on it now, because I have been traveling a lot, and I have a lot of shows booked for the next year, and I'm going to be on the road a lot, and I'm going to be planning my wedding over the phone. But this is what I wanted. I wanted to live out of a suitcase at least for a while, and I hope to move back here to the Northwest again one day, and that's the plan anyway.
So tell us a little bit about the experience on The Voice. The judges don't see you singing, you sing, they turn around if they're interested in being your mentor, basically, right?
Mama told me when I was young, come sit beside me, my only son, and listen closely to what I say. If you do this, it'll help you some sunny day. Baby, be simple, kind of me. I want you to do this for me, son. If you can, be simple, kind.
You turned some chairs and you picked Blake Shelton?
I did. I picked Blake, yeah. And I picked him, I think, just because he seemed like a nice guy. I got to go up there and do Simple Man, which is a song I've known since I was 10 years old. And it meant a lot to me to be able to perform that song, because I've performed it at basically every show since I started playing. So, and what I've learned from watching Blake and Christina and all that, their job is to make people happy, and it's not an easy task all the time, but it's definitely something that I'm okay with. I really enjoy being around people, and anytime I am tired or whatever, if I'm busy or whatever, I just kind of remind myself how amazing it is to be able to do what I do.
Sure, sure. What's on your iPod right now?
Me.
What kind of music? Yeah, you just...
No. I have a lot of different stuff. I listen to Bon Iver, and also a band called Need to Breathe is one of my favorites. They're kind of more of a rock band. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned being late to class sometimes. So let's talk a little bit about your experience at Western. So you went to Cedar Crest High School, grew up in Duval.
Yeah.
Had all sorts of universities to pick. How come Western? Why did you pick Western?
You know, I came and hung around campus, and I thought it was really cool. I had a couple other schools that I could have went to. Thought about playing football, and had a couple opportunities to at least go play or walk on. And I just decided that music was something that I was going to always do. And at the time, I'd already recorded a CD for my senior project, you know, and I was so into that, and it seemed like that kind of thing was really accepted up here.
Yeah. So you ended up coming to Western. Is there any, through your Western experience, is there anything that you might have learned as a part of your Western experience that helped you at The Voice, or as you've moved on, as you moved to Nashville?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's hard to list it all. I think surrounding yourself with good people is probably the biggest thing I learned here. I didn't have the best GPA. I didn't have everything going for me, you know, when I came here. But professors, students, I mean, everybody here was just so accepting of me and what I do, and whether that's music or just whatever, you know. And if you pick the right people that know where you're headed, you know, that you can kind of confide in, it really helps. You know, I would never have been able to do any of this on my own. And my tour manager and my booking agent, they're both Western alums, and they worked for AS Pop Music. And I'm just in a spot now where I have people that are just, you know, there for me, and a lot of that comes from my time being here at Western.
It's really great to have you in the studio.
Man,
It's really nice to meet
much.
you, Austin.
I appreciate it. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, me too. Austin Jenckes. Western alumnus Paul Wright has arthrogryposis, a non-genetic and non-progressive disability characterized by stiff joints and missing muscle. Although the disease has some crippling effects on the human body, it hasn't stopped Paul's spirit and determination or gotten in the way of his success.
Some days it just like really piles on, and it seems like everything is like just a little bit out of reach, just a little bit harder to do, and just a little bit like too much. So then there's days like that where it really piles on and you're completely aware of your limitations, but then the majority of the time I'm not aware, and I just kind of go about my day. It is called arthrogryposis, which translates to stiff joints and missing muscles. So the most obvious effect is that I don't have biceps. I would say it's a large part of my identity, but I often forget about it because I've surrounded myself with people that are supportive. You ask me to like describe who I am, I'm like, well, you know, I'm an accounting student, I'm interested in moving to Seattle. I don't really list that I'm disabled because I feel like that's also a given when you see me, so it's like, why bring it up? There are instances where you face challenges and then you are reminded of those obstacles. I'll fall down really hard, and that's a reminder of it because I don't have the ability to put my hands out and catch myself, so I fall on my elbows. So I usually get the wind knocked out of me when that happens. When I was growing up, all I wanted to do was blend in with everyone else, and now that it seems I'm a college student blending in with everyone else, they're seeing that I overcame so much, and now as I like try to blend in more, I stand out more. I think there's kind of the expectation that you're going to stay at home all your life, that your parents will be your caretakers. Going to college, landing an important accounting job, it's harder to do, so it's seen as greater.
Do you know E? No, I'm kidding, it's not from E.
You don't see people with disabilities is often in upper management or in corporate offices. I feel like I'm going against the grain and kind of fighting an uphill battle, but I think that people's expectations of me are a little bit lower than what I have for myself. I think that I have more at stake. I'm all about proving people wrong and breaking stereotypes of that. So when I go into interviews or networking events, I know that the first thing they're going to see is my disability, and I need to change that and get them to focus on my resume and academics. If I get a prestigious job, it's going to be more to me because I know that I've worked since I was 1 day old to this goal. I am not done with the goals that I've set for myself. I still have a lot of things that I want to accomplish in my life personally, and so that kind of drives me too. I got a tattoo on my chest actually at 19 that says strength, because strength comes from the heart. So when I really feel beat up by the days, I'm put my hand to my heart and remember that that's where the strength comes from. And so like little reminders like that help, because I realize that today really sucks, but tomorrow is gonna be different, and that I've come so far, like I'm not just gonna lay down and die now, you know? So I think that that's what helps me, is reminding myself that I am strong and that I'm capable of doing these things. And, you know, maybe I fall down 3 times a day and that day is just horrible, but there's something really peaceful about going to sleep and waking up and having it be another day.
International Women's Day is an official holiday in 28 countries and is widely observed in many more. Here at Western, this important day serves to educate students in issues affecting women in the U.S. and internationally, reflect on gender inequality, and celebrate accomplishments in women's rights.
I am the Director of Women's Studies, and I'm also an Associate Professor in the Department of Political Science. I teach classes on identity politics, political theory, the history of political thought, feminist political theory, so a pretty big range of classes. So the United Nations actually passed some legislation that essentially said that women needed to be recognized, they needed to be treated as equal, and that inspired a global movement to celebrate International Women's Day. In other countries, it's actually a national holiday. People take the day off, they have celebrations, they have festivals. It varies from place to place. But the focus is to really think about women's equality, women's freedom, women's right, as not just the goal of one nation or one community, but the world.
So I'm Abigail Borchert. I'm the International Student Advisor, and I work in International Student and Scholar Services. So I worked with Prevention and Wellness and Women's Studies to organize this International Women's Day celebration, and the goal of it was just to celebrate International Women's Day here at Western and to just make people aware of some of the celebrations going on around the world related to International Women's Day.
So I'm Nicole. I'm the Vox coordinator. We're Voices for Planned Parenthood, and we meet once a week to talk about sexual health and reproductive rights. We just want to raise awareness about family planning and sexual health equality. There's lots of resources that we are privileged to have in this country that other countries may not have, or the women may not have access to those services. So we just want to raise awareness that the world we want is where all women have the access to those services that they need.
There was a lot of discussion also about what it means today to think about International Women's Day in 2014, when there have been a lot of changes that have been made. We have female political leaders, we have more equity in terms of reproductive health, we have more opportunities, economic, social, and cultural for women. But that means that, you know, there's a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm and I think proactive excitement to make change. I got the sense from the students that participated in our events that they were really interested to hear especially what students from other countries thought. So we had a lot of men and women who were involved in the events, and they got to share their perspectives, their stories about how International Women's Day is celebrated in Russia and Sweden, India, places like that.
Yeah, my name is Ahmed Walid Moulahoum. I'm an exchange student from Algeria. I think it should be really, it's important that the male will have a perspective about all this, because when it comes to talking about it's related about women's rights, and if we talk about women's rights, we talk about women's rights compared to the man. So in order to try and do things about women's rights, man has to have, they must take an idea about the male's perspective, and they have to be here to give that perspective.
We have a tendency, I think, in the United States not to always acknowledge or realize the diverse ways in which women play a role politically, economically, socially, and culturally. So this is a very special day for us as women and men to be able to fully recognize the global contributions that people have made to thinking about the lives of women as empowered.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Rivero, and I'm the founder and executive director of Middle Women. Well, we have an on-campus club that really focuses a lot of energy on cultivating self-esteem and positive body image. So we do a lot of meetings that's talking about different issues that could keep somebody from really feeling good about themselves.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I'm with Women's Empowerment and Violence Education. Today we're here making peace flags to celebrate women internationally, but what we do on campus is we educate about women's empowerment and we try to prevent violence.
Hi, I'm Nicole Craig, and I'm a part of the group Body Empowerment at Western Washington University. Our stance is to kind of provide a realistic view on body image and take a look at all the issues that it can cause. Kind of a false idea of what a perfect body should be, and it can cause a lot of problems in people, like cognitively and with their health. And we kind of want to redefine that and bring awareness to that idea.
I think it's helped to sort of raise the profile of International Women's Day as a thing. I think a lot of Americans don't really know what International Women's Day is, or that it's such a big deal in some countries around the world. And so I hope that this has sort of highlighted International Women's Day as a holiday and gotten people sort of talking about women around the world.
There were definitely students who didn't know anything about International Women's Day. We had a flyer, we had some videos, we had some information, we have some kind of crafts and arts that people could put together. And so I think people learned a lot, and they were excited to learn a lot.
Did you know that you can visit the depths of the universe right here at Western? The University Planetarium, located on the 3rd floor of Haggard Hall, has been outfitted with a new digital projection system and a brand new name.
Well, you know, it seems like learning about stars is something everybody at one time said they wanted to do or were going to do eventually, learn the names of the stars or something. And it's not exactly a controversial topic. It doesn't really matter what your worldview is. Nobody's really anti-stars. Astronomy has the awe factor when it comes to sciences. I mean, in general, kids are awed by any kind of science, whether it's chemistry, biology, or whatever. It's exploration and it's discovery, it's fun stuff. But astronomy just has this natural element of grandeur.
This new projector will allow state-of-the-art projections. It will allow things like the Bellingham School District to fully enable their new required curriculum in math and in science to use the planetarium as part of that. And that's important to our mission here at Western, because an important part of what we do is to try to get the young people who are not always motivated to go on to 2- or 4-year education, to get them on our campus and see what is possible for them to raise their aspirations higher and higher. And this will allow us to do that.
This machine isn't just about video. I can actually render in real time a 3D environment. So ad hoc, at will, I can go to Mars, go to the back side, go to the front side, land, look back at the Earth, take off, come back to Earth, go out to the Pleiades, fly through them, come back. And so it's got these huge data set of hundreds of thousands of stars and their relative positions and brightnesses, which are constantly being refreshed as you move your camera angle through the galaxy. It's got a joystick if you want. I find it easier to use the mouse, but you can grab the joystick and go flying through the galaxy if you want to.
What did I think about, naming the planetarium? I thought it was appropriate. It was appropriate, so I had to do a little calculating on that. But it made sense because, as was stated, Les did, fight for the place not to get torn apart. And he went looking for projectors in several different places and found, high schools that had better projectors than this planetarium did.
They come in and a lot of what people know about astronomy they learned by going to a planetarium. And so you dazzle them with the technology, even in this jaded age where people are used to incredible technology, this is like one step above anything they can do with their phone.
I think when Dr. Shepard said, what would Les be thinking, he'd probably say, why did you spend that much money on me?
The entire program is laced with astronomy education in a very entertaining way, an engaging way.
And what you're seeing is a portion of a big open cluster that is just newly formed, little baby infant stars, which are about 1 million years old. This is like what a famous astronomer said is a garden with the flowers in many stages of bloom.
Just about everybody wants to know what's up there and how the big clock works.
This is the Orion Nebula. And what we can do is say, this is how it looks here on the sky at night, here from Bellingham at about 9 o'clock tonight. This is the nebula itself, a Hubble Space Telescope photograph of the nebula itself. It's about 1,300 light years away from us, and it's about 20 light years across. And this is a star formation region. So if we want to talk to kids about how stars are made, where do they come from?
So in so many ways, we're deeply grateful, Harriet, to you for what you have enabled, for providing us, our students, with this marvelous facility that is now state-of-the-art once again, but also is an important bridge to our community, and we appreciate that deeply as well. So thank you very, very much.
What happens when the Western Washington University Opera Studio, Chamber Orchestra, theater and dance departments, and industry professionals come together? Learning, artistry, and pure magic.
And we just thought it was a great show about young people being young people, and I mean, who doesn't want to do Shakespeare? But in particular, this year is around the centennial of Benjamin Britten's birth, and so we were wanting to honor that by choosing one of his operas.
Because it's complicated. It's a very complex show. It's a beautiful show, but it's very complex and difficult. It can be really difficult to learn. Putting an opera together, it takes so many pieces. Now at this stage, we're adding sets and costumes and all the props and lighting and the orchestra and fog, and we have everything coming together.
Midsummer is about, for me, in the dance, is more about fairies, and so the fairy kingdom is something I'm really interested in, and I live on 10 acres of forest, so I spend a lot of time out in the forest, and so it was really exciting to do that. We have quite a bit of an involvement from the dance program this year, and I think it's really boosted the quality of the performance, so I'm excited for people to see it.
Especially on the acting, I think the students have a lot to lot to bring to these characters because they're the same age, and many of the themes in the show are things that happen in their own lives. I mean, who doesn't get crossed in love now and then? Here's some beautiful singing, some lovely playing from the orchestra. We only do a show with orchestra every 3 years, and this opera is really designed to show them off. Britton was really quite a genius with the way he did the instrumentation, but the texture really changes, and so I think it's interesting to see what Britton's done with what Shakespeare already had there in terms of characterization.
This last year I saw this on Facebook. Somebody said, "Why do I do this?" and all it's like there was this whole long conversation thread of answers about people saying basically that they didn't go looking for opera, it found them, which is really kind of what happened for me. But it's one of the things I love about vocal music in general is you get beautiful music and you get beautiful literature and poetry to work with at the same time, which is a fabulous combination.
I think one of the most exciting things is this really challenging Shakespearean diction in English for this opera.
I think for me, one of the big themes of Midsummer is about how the theater or art or fantasy, our dreams perhaps, kind of take us out of ourselves. We undergo this maybe transformation, and when we get back to our humdrum lives, we're never quite the same again.
Snug the joiner.
That's it for this episode of Western Window.
We'll see you next time as we explore our world at and around Western Washington University.
Western Window is proud to partner with the following student publications. Clipson Magazine is published twice each quarter and includes features, multimedia, and issues that affect lives across the greater Bellingham area. You can find it online at clipsonmagazine.com. The Western Front is the official newspaper of Western Washington University, published by the Student Publications Council and funded by your advertising dollars. The Western Front. Get it first, get it right at westernfrontonline.net. The Planet is Western Washington University's award-winning quarterly environmental publication and the only undergraduate environmental magazine in the United States. Explore The Planet online at planet.wwu.edu.